Hi everyone, welcome back to Questions on the Parsha. This week's Parsha is Parsha Beshalach, and our first question has to do with a word, and that word is nacham, nun, chet, mem. It appears in the very first line of our Parsha when God takes the children of Israel out of Egypt, but he doesn't want to bring them by the land of the Plishtim. Pen yinahem, lest they regret when they see war. Now, the first usage of this word, naham, happens in Breshit, in the 6th chapter, in the 6th line, where it says, V'yinachem Hashem ki asa et adam ba'aretz. God regretted that he made the man on the land. Now, this seems consistent, but when you look at its usage elsewhere, for instance, in Isaiah, in the 40th chapter, in the first line, when it says, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, comfort, comfort you, my people, or its common usage in Nichum Avelim, the comforting of mourners, you have the question, how can one word mean to comfort and to regret? If you really want to dig into this, I want you to go take a look at the 15th chapter of the first book of Shmuel. There in the 11th line it's used, and in the 29th line it's used, and you can find a bit of a contradiction. So that's the question. How can one word, naham, mean both comfort and regret? Okay, second question. Not only is it Parsha Beshalach this week, it's also Shabbat Shirah, the Sabbath of song. And everybody loves to sing, and we all know that song is something that comes from the heart. The origin of this name is because as part of this week's Parsha, we say the Song of the Sea, the song that the children of Israel burst into when they experienced that amazing crossing through the waters on dry land. So here's my question for you. If you look into the Mishnah Berurah, a classic halacha commentary on the daily practices of life, you'll find there in 51:17 in the Mishnah Berurah that he says, if you imagine each day when you say the Song of the Sea as part of the daily prayers, that you yourself are now crossing through the Red Sea, and your heart is filled with joy at that event, that all your sins are forgiven. He's quoting the Zohar, and anytime the Mishnah Berurah quotes the Zohar, we ought to sit up and listen. So here's my question for you. Why is it that imagining yourself crossing the Red Sea and being filled with joy would cause you to be forgiven all of your sins? And how does this connect us to the Sabbath of Song? Okay, last question. You know, there are many things that happen in our Parsha. We can't cover them all, but one of my favorite is the manna, bread from heaven. Right? You might think that God raining down food from heaven every day to a people wandering in the wilderness would be a great support to them, and they would draw great comfort from this. But apparently, according to the text, you would be wrong, because you'll find in the 16th chapter, in the 4th line, that the manna is defined as a test. It says, L'ma'an enasenu hayelech b'torati imlo, in order to test them whether they'll go in my Torah or not. Unless you think that this is an incidental fact, when Moshe retells the story of the manna in Devarim, in the 8th chapter, in the 16th line, he says very clearly that this bread was brought L'ma'an anotcha u'l'ma'an nasotecha lahitivcha b'acharitecha, right? In order to cause you suffering and to test you in order to bring you good things at the end. So that's my question. What is the test of the manna? Okay, that's our 3 questions for this week. Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you next week.